Hello everyone and welcome to this podcast on community and policy in sustainable education. And my name is Ziheng Deng, you can call me William, and I'm delighted to be joined by Alex, which is the founder and coordinator of the Rugby University, and I think it's a new style of learning community and that challenges our traditional understanding of education. So thank you, Alex.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you very much for joining me today, and it's really a real pleasure to have you here. So Alex, to begin with, I have read that the Rugby University was inspired by the 19th century Rugby schools movement, which offered free education to those excluded from formal systems. And today, your project reimagines that idea in a contemporary context, which is a place where learning happens in open and informal ways. So I'm really curious about it. So could you maybe introduce the Rugby University for us?
Sure. So around, I think about 16 years ago, I was helping out a friend in Hackney Marshes, and I was asked, how would you bring community together and improve everybody's life? I said, I don't know. And I returned to Edinburgh. I spoke to two friends, Eileen Broughton and Leroy Wilshire. And I asked them, so how would you bring people together and improve people's lives? And they said, well, the Ragged Schools was very important. It built the educational structure of the country. And also they said, you remind us of Ivan Illich, a famous educator. And I had known Eileen and Roy because I had helped them out with their computers. And they told me that I should look at this history, and I looked at the history, and you've got a long tradition of people, communities coming together, sharing their knowledge, sharing their skills, and nurturing each other.
Yes.
So that really predated any formal education or any social security help from the government, really. So there's a natural philanthropy, and in Edinburgh there was a Reverend Thomas Guthrie who heard about this and decided this is what we do. We'll get books and food and clothes, and we'll share that, and we'll educate people. And over 4 decades, he documented this. Very famous for writing a pamphlet called A Plea for the Ragged Schools, or Prevention is Better Than Cure. But he showed that by communities doing this, crime was reduced by 3/4. People's health got better, people were happier, industries grew, and so just that inspiration of communities working together made me talk with friends and go, could we do this, take this social tradition, this social practice forward and do it with higher education in our world now? So we started to ask small businesses, can we use your room? And put a little bit of food out, and people would come along and do a talk or an activity. People really enjoyed the event, and so we did more, and it grew, and then we started talking to formal educators, and I started learning about these social traditions of learning, and realized you find this in every culture and every period of time. So does that give you a bit of a sense of?
Thank you for the introduction and told us how it started and the places where the Rugby University may be running. and also the motivation where you from the inspiration to have the thoughts to run the university. So one thing that really stood out to me is how regular university events happen in open public places. So for example, the cafes, pubs, you mentioned that, or some other informal places. So maybe which places you prefer to talk with?
Places that are informal, places where people feel at home and can relax and be themselves, and they're often indicated by conversation, by laughter, by affordable food and drink.
And also a lot of applause, I think. And applause.
Yes. So really, it's a creative act, and people enjoy sharing their lives in spaces where they go to relax. And it's a nice way to pair learning and education with relaxation and enjoyment, because they naturally sit together.
The combination and integration with these different kinds of stories or interesting things you share with others, and we can gain a lot of different points and knowledge man side, and we can learn a lot from that.
But particularly use informal and free space, so there's no money involved, deliberately. So it could be in a forest or up a hill.
Yeah.
And there's long traditions, particularly in Ireland, these traditions of the hedge schools. So meeting and sharing, and educator, there's a famous philosopher and polymath called Rabindranath Tagore, who's in India.
Yeah.
He said, all I need is the shade of a tree to start my school in.
Maybe you can just start from a bench of the park, but you have the gorgeous stories to tell with people. So the flower is blooming and flourish, and I think the Rag University as well.
The universe is so information rich, but it's in the relationship between people. If we sit, we can have a conversation about anything. We can observe, we can experiment, we can try things out, we can be creative. There's endless possibilities.
But if there has any other challenges maybe you have faced and how you overcome them to run the Rag University?
I think the challenge is thinking about how this can exist in the world as it is now, because the world has become increasingly commercialized.
Yeah.
And that over-reliance, that over-regulation by finance changes people's behavior. People get very depressed and anxious and unhappy because a part of their being is not being expressed. People are kept from being in community. So it's by looking at where money doesn't control that we find the spaces that we can create the opportunities for being creative thinkers, developing any subject that we can think of. But when the space is regulated by money, will always dictate the terms of what is shared.
So is it fair to say that the Rag University also focuses on the human's well-being?
Yes.
Oh.
The very core understanding of this is that Ragged University, the understanding of education is human development. And human development leads to happiness and health. And when people are healthy and happy, people are creative. And everything comes out of that. When people are kept from being themselves and not nurtured, are not helped to develop into the people they are, you see people being unhappy, there's great anxiety, and there's physical illness that follows that. So yes, I think it is intimately woven. The knowledge is emotional.
Yes. Also in our course, we talk about sustainability not only about in the environmental terms, but also in the social practice with others, the social terms. So from what I'm saying, right university creates that kind of social sustainability through people supporting and learn from each other, just like you said. And I'm also want to ask, are there any local policies or forms of support that helped you to keep the university running or operating?
That's an interesting question because when we started and we found that people would help and did want to get involved and people enjoyed it and that there was a want and a need for this. We went and I tried very hard to make this a formal charity. But as soon as that journey in getting that formal status made me realise that the charitable sector is not appropriate. It's money is too involved.
Into investments to run the charity. So that's not maybe suitable name to call it a charity, a community.
Yes, it's about relationships, and you cannot regulate relationships. It doesn't work that way. Formal education can afford to do things in certain ways, but the lives of people need to be wild and natural to the people who are in them. So putting, I remember it was very funny because I thought, oh well, the Chamber of Commerce gave us membership. And lots of people start giving this advice. You've got to apply for this funding and this grant and fill out this paperwork. And I took all this paperwork and I gave it to the people who were organising the events, and I said, all we have to do is fill these forms out and they'll give us money. And they said, no, this is not what we do. We don't. If we spend all our time doing this paperwork, we are not doing the thing itself. So we closed Ragged University as a formal charity.
Really? Oh.
Because it's inappropriate. It changes the nature of what we're doing. In the same way that if there's an outsider come to two people and give them a set of rules on how they interact, the friendship they have will change. Because it's my rules, not the friendship. So when I realised that, I closed the charity and I understood this is a social practice. This is a behaviour. And philanthropy, love of humanity, love of people collectively, is a verb. It's a doing word. So yes, I think our world in some areas is over-regulated, and we're losing track of things, behaviours that are fundamental to our spirit. And by like you cannot create a set of rules for people to sing.
So maybe Ragged University can be seen as a organization and which can balance different terms of community, but not a charity and not a just like over-regulated. It's a different kind of organization defined.
Yes, I've spoken to funders and I've said to them, you must go out into the world and see people who are doing the stuff already and give them the money without any paperwork. Because these people will do it anyway. See the value in the world and support it. But if you create a system where people have to spend all their time navigating that system to get the resources to then do something good in the world. By the time they get to doing the good in the world, they're exhausted. All their energy has been given to a system of governance. So it's a puzzle.
So you have tried to balance the different aspects to keep it going.
Yes, I continue to do this. In the last few years, in fact since COVID, I realized from doing 15 years of work was that I needed to document all of the contributions that hundreds of people have made over the years and put them into the public domain in order to foster the long future. So, do you know about the concept of the commons?
Commons on the website or?
Well, the website is a commons. So public goods belong to everybody.
And so there are a lot of articles which wrote by different people, and a lot of articles which review and share different opinions and really useful and meaningful points of how education continuously and how different kinds of maybe of our life is running. So I think there are a lot of concepts can text in the website, and we can search different terms at the search line, and we can get the different outcomes. And
I spend a lot of time trying to tell people and remind people that anybody can do this in their own life, whatever their means, and support people by doing that. It doesn't matter if you're in rural Kenya or downtown Shanghai. Anybody can do this independently. It could be a small group, it could be a large group, but this can be done by anybody. And by people creating knowledge resources and sharing what they've been creative with, we create a foundation that allows the ragged schools.
Everyone is a ragged university, just like the word side.
If in doubt, look up John Pounds. Do what John Pounds did, the crippled cobbler of Portsmouth. And it is about living it and supporting other people to live it. And it's being present in relationships.
And at the final, do you have any advice or some comments to the audience you want to share?
This is the journey that has been the richest transformation of my life. I've met so many people, I've learned so many things, and I've understood how everything is possible without money. And I couldn't understand it before. And it is by doing exercise. It's like imagining, could I run a marathon, 26 miles? That starts with doing one step. The first step is half of the whole journey.
Yes.
And even if you do it once and go, well, maybe I'll do a talk about your journey, the time you climbed a mountain, or about when you designed a unique battery, and help them understand your passion. And that moment is unique in time, and everything in there is the same that happens in the university. Everything that happens in a university happens out in the world. So I would say, don't ask permission, do it, connect with the world and have fun with it. And if I can be helpful, I learn through helping. So those are some thoughts.
That's great. Alex, thank you so much for taking time to talk with us. And I really appreciate your openness, and I look forward to sharing what I learned in my project reflection. And I will talk to the audience and others about the Ragged University, how it's running, operating, and what's the meaning of the Ragged University does means. And thank you very much.
Thank you.